Some stories begin with joy, but this one began with fear that sat quietly in the heart. What I am about to share stayed hidden for a long time, growing heavier with each passing day, until silence itself became painful. This is not just a story about faith, it is a story about cost, courage, and quiet suffering. As you read, stay with me, because what happened changed my life forever. Before we continue, please comment where you are watching or reading from, so we can connect as one family and continue to pray for one another across nations and borders. It was in the year 2018 when my life became tied to hers. Her name was Princess Aaliyah, and she was 23 years old at the time. I was not royalty, not powerful, and not important in the eyes of the world. I was only someone who served within the palace walls, moving quietly, watching carefully, and learning how silence can be both safety and danger. The palace looked beautiful from the outside. Tall gates, shining floors, soft carpets, and calm gardens made it seem like a place without pain. But inside those walls, fear lived quietly. Every step had rules. Every word had limits. Every thought had consequences. This was a place where obedience was praised and questions were dangerous. Princess Aaliyah appeared strong to everyone else. She walked with grace. She smiled when required. She followed traditions in public. But I began to notice small things. I noticed how her eyes changed when she was alone. I noticed how she avoided certain rituals. I noticed how she spent long moments in silence, not empty silence, but deep silence, like someone listening. One evening, while the palace rested under heavy quiet, she showed me something hidden. She revealed to me that her heart no longer belonged to the faith she was born into. She explained, without using exact words, that she had found another truth, one that brought peace instead of fear. She made me understand that she now followed Jesus. She was surrounded by luxury but trapped by fear. Her world was gold on the outside and iron on the inside. She revealed to me that she had already accepted the possible outcome. She showed me courage that did not come from strength, but from faith. Even when her hands shook, her heart stayed firm. Even when her future disappeared, her hope remained alive. I carried her secret like fire in my chest. I wanted to protect her, but I was powerless. I watched the pressure increase day by day. Guards were added, her schedule was tightened, her smiles became rare, her body grew thin, sleep left her eyes. This was how persecution worked in her life. Slowly, quietly, cruelly. Chapter 1 ends here. Not with an arrest, not with a trial, but with a secret still alive and danger drawing closer. What was hidden would not stay hidden forever. And when the truth finally surfaced, mercy would seem very far away. Some days do not begin with noise. They begin with a heavy feeling that tells you something terrible is coming. That morning felt slow, tight, and cold, even though the sun was bright outside the palace walls. I woke up with fear already sitting in my chest. I could not explain it, but my hands shook as I prepared for the day. The palace, which once felt calm, felt like a cage. Every sound echoed louder than normal. Every step felt watched. Every breath felt counted. I saw the guards moving differently. Their faces were hard. Their steps were faster. Their eyes were sharp. This was not normal routine. This was search. This was suspicion. This was danger. Princess Aaliyah did not come out at her usual time. That alone was a warning. I later understood that her room had already been entered without permission. Her private space was broken. Her hidden life was being touched by hands that showed no mercy. She showed me later that some of her belongings were gone. The small items she used for prayer had disappeared. Papers were missing. Her place no longer felt safe. She revealed to me that questions had begun. Not kind questions, but sharp ones meant to trap her. These were not questions looking for truth. They were accusations looking for proof. The persecution changed shape that day. It moved from quiet fear to open pressure. She was no longer treated like a daughter of royalty. She was treated like a suspect. Her meals were delayed. Her movements were restricted. Guards stood closer than before. Even the air around her felt controlled. I watched her walk through the hallway with her head lowered. Not because she was ashamed, but because she was protecting herself. Her strength was now inside, not outside. Her face looked calm, but her body showed stress. Her steps were slower. Her shoulders were heavy. She revealed to me that she had been separated from everyone she trusted. Isolation became her punishment. She was left alone for long hours, locked in silence, watched by cameras and ears she could not see. This kind of persecution is cruel because it attacks the mind before it touches the body. Later that day, I saw her hands shaking, not from fear alone, but from exhaustion. Sleep had left her. Food no longer stayed down. Her body was responding to the pressure, the threat, the waiting. I learned that the truth had reached the wrong ears. Someone had reported her. Someone had chosen loyalty to law over compassion. In that place, belief outside the accepted faith was not seen as personal choice. It was seen as rebellion. It was seen as shame. It was seen as a crime deserving the highest punishment. She showed me bruises on her arms caused by rough handling. Not beaten in public, but controlled with force behind closed doors. This was persecution hidden from cameras, but real to the skin and bones. She was told to repent, not gently, but through fear. She was reminded of the law. She was reminded of her position. She was reminded of the consequence. Even without hearing exact words, I understood what was placed before her. Life or death. What hurt the most was how fast love disappeared. People who once smiled at her now avoided her eyes. Servants whispered, friends vanished. Fear spread like smoke. No one wanted to be connected to someone marked as dangerous. I stood close but felt far. I wanted to help, but I was watched too. Any wrong move could destroy us both. This is how persecution multiplies pain. It does not only hurt the one accused, it traps everyone nearby in fear. That night, the palace felt darker than ever. Lights stayed on, guards stayed awake, doors stayed locked. I knew deep inside that the point of no return had been crossed. The truth was no longer hidden. The secret was now a charge, and the charge carried only one known ending. As I watched the doors close behind her, my heart sank. This chapter of her life ended not with freedom, but with chains made of law, fear, and religious power. And yet, even in that darkness, I saw something that stayed with me. Her faith did not break. Her body was tired. Her future was threatened. But her belief stood firm. There are moments when time stops moving forward and begins to fall downward, pulling everyone with it. The day of judgment arrived quietly, but its weight crushed everything in its path. That morning, the palace no longer felt like a home or even a prison. It felt like a waiting ground between life and death. The air was heavy. People spoke less. Eyes avoided each other. Fear ruled every corner. I was not allowed to stand close to Princess Aaliyah, but I saw her from a distance. She walked slowly, surrounded by guards. Her hands were restrained. Her head was covered. Her steps were calm, but her body showed signs of long suffering. She looked thinner. Her face was pale. Her strength had been drained by days of pressure, isolation, and fear. She was taken into a closed room where decisions were made without mercy. I was not inside, but I learned what happened afterward. She revealed to me later, through gestures and broken strength, how the hearing went. She showed me how she was not treated as a human being with feelings, but as a problem that needed to be removed. The persecution reached its peak in that room. She was reminded of the law again and again. She was pressured to deny her faith. She was made to feel small, sinful, and dangerous. Her past, her future, and even her family name were used against her. This was not justice. This was control. She was given no comfort, no understanding, no mercy. Her decision to follow Jesus was treated as betrayal. Her faith was labeled rebellion. Her courage was punished as disobedience. Everything she believed in was turned into evidence against her. When the decision was made, it came with cold finality. The sentence was death, not later, not reconsidered. Death. When I saw her afterward, she did not cry. That frightened me more than tears. Her eyes were dry, but full of pain. She revealed to me that something inside her had crossed a line. Fear had lost its power. Death no longer controlled her heart, but her body still suffered. She was moved to a dark holding place. The room was small, the walls were hard, the light was weak. She was watched every moment. Sleep was broken. Food was limited. Water was controlled. This was persecution meant to break the body while waiting to destroy it fully. I noticed marks on her wrists where restraints had cut into her skin. Her feet were swollen from standing too long. Her back showed signs of stress and punishment. No one announced these things. No one recorded them. But they were real. She was treated as if she no longer existed. Servants avoided her. Guards spoke of her like she was already gone. Her name was slowly erased. This is another kind of persecution, when a person is made invisible before death. I felt helpless. I prayed silently. I waited. I feared. Every sound of keys made my heart race. Every footstep could mean the end had arrived. What hurt most was knowing that her only crime was belief. She did not harm anyone. She did not raise violence. She chose faith, and faith became her death sentence. And yet, even in chains, even under a sentence of death, I saw peace in her eyes. She showed me that her hope was no longer in escape, but in Jesus himself. She showed me that even if her body was taken, her soul was free. That night, I did not sleep. I knew the execution date was close. The palace prepared quietly. Papers were signed, orders were sealed. Everything moved forward like a machine that could not stop. Darkness fell slowly over the palace, but sleep did not come. Lights stayed on in places where they were usually off. Guards walked back and forth without rest. Doors closed with final sounds. Everyone knew what was planned for the next day, even though no one spoke about it. I knew this was the last night Princess Alia might see the world alive. She was moved to a smaller room, deeper inside the building. The walls were bare, the floor was cold, the air smelled of dust and fear. This was not a room meant for rest, it was a room meant for waiting. I was allowed to see her briefly, not out of kindness, but out of routine. When I looked at her, my heart broke. Her body was weak. Her face was tired. Her eyes were sunken from days without proper sleep. Her hands were rough and marked from restraints. She showed me how her body had suffered. She revealed to me that she had been kept awake for long hours. Loud sounds were used to disturb her rest. Lights were kept on to confuse her sense of time. Food was given in small amounts. Water was controlled. This was persecution meant to drain strength and crush the spirit before death arrived. I noticed how she shivered, not only from cold, but from exhaustion. Her clothes were thin. The room offered no comfort. She was treated like someone who no longer deserved care. The loneliness was the worst part. She had no family near her. No friendly faces, no gentle voices, just guards, walls, and time slowly moving toward the morning. Isolation wrapped around her like chains. This kind of persecution hurts deeply because it tells a person that they are alone in the world. She revealed to me that fear tried to return that night. Not fear of pain, but fear of leaving everything behind. Fear of never seeing the sun again. Fear of being forgotten. Her body trembled, but something stronger held her up. She showed me how she prayed quietly, not with loud words, but with deep trust. Even without speaking, I understood that she placed her life fully in Jesus' hands. She did not ask to escape anymore. She asked for strength to endure whatever came. I sat near the door, powerless. I wanted to cry, but tears would have drawn attention. I wanted to fight, but fighting would have meant death for us both. This is how persecution spreads pain. It makes witnesses suffer in silence too. Outside the room, I heard preparations. Papers were checked, paths were cleared, orders were repeated. Everything sounded planned and final. The system moved forward without feeling, without compassion. Time slowed, every moment felt stretched, every breath felt counted. The night refused to end, as if even darkness feared what morning would bring. I looked at her one last time before I was forced to leave. She lifted her eyes slowly. She showed me peace that did not come from this world. Her body was broken, but her faith stood tall. Her future on earth was ending, but her hope felt alive. As the door closed behind me, I felt like part of my heart was locked inside that room with her. Chapter 4 ends here, in the deep night before death, where fear and faith stood face to face, and heaven listened closely. Some moments look like the end, but they are secretly the place where miracles begin. What happened next was something no law, no power, and no fear could stop. The morning came too fast. The sky was pale. The palace was quiet in a way that felt wrong. I knew this was the day set for Princess Alia to die. My heart felt heavy, like it was sinking inside my chest. She was taken from the dark room early. Her body was weak. Her steps were slow. Her hands were bound. Her face showed pain, hunger, and long nights without sleep. This was not because she was violent or dangerous. This was because she believed in Jesus. The place prepared for her death was cold and open. Guards stood firm. Officials waited. Everything looked final. I stood far away, shaking, unable to help, unable to speak. I felt helpless, small and afraid. She looked around one last time. She showed no anger. She revealed no regret. Even after all the persecution, her faith was still alive. Her body had been punished, her mind had been attacked, her freedom had been taken, but her belief stood strong. The persecution she faced was deep and cruel. She was isolated, she was starved, she was threatened, she was humiliated, she was treated as less than human. Her tears were ignored, her pain was unseen, her choice to follow Jesus cost her everything. As the moment drew closer, something changed. The air felt different. The guards became uneasy. Confusion spread. Movements slowed. Orders were delayed. I saw fear on faces that were once proud and sure. She later showed me that something powerful happened inside her heart and around her body. She revealed to me that she felt peace stronger than fear. She showed me that the presence of Jesus filled the place where death was expected. Suddenly, everything stopped. There was disorder. Messages were passed quickly. Officials stepped back. The execution was paused. What was planned to end her life was clearly what happened without warning. No one spoke openly, but the truth was clear. Something beyond human power had stepped in. She was taken away, not to death, but to safety. The sentence that was meant to kill her was suspended. The hands that were ready to destroy her could not move forward. Jesus had intervened, not through noise, not through violence, but through authority greater than fear. Later, when I saw her again, she was still weak, still marked by pain, still carrying scars from persecution. But she was alive. Her eyes were bright, her faith was stronger than ever. She showed me her wounds. She revealed to me that the pain would stay, but so would the victory. Her body remembered the suffering, but her soul rejoiced in freedom. Her story did not end in death. It became a testimony. As I write this, I remember her suffering so the world will not forget. Many believers around the world still face prison, torture, rejection, hunger, and death because of their faith. Some are beaten, some are silenced, some disappear, some never return home. Their pain is real. Their courage is real. Their faith matters. I encourage Christians everywhere to pray for those who are persecuted for believing in Jesus. Pray for strength, pray for protection, pray for courage. Pray that they will not feel alone. And if you are reading this and feel the need to turn away from sin and come to Jesus, I gently lead you in this simple prayer. I ask you to speak to God from your heart. Ask Him to forgive your sins. Tell Him you believe in Jesus. Ask Him to come into your life. Choose to follow Him from today forward. Jesus sees suffering. Jesus hears cries. Jesus still saves.